How can teachers become more resilient in the face of compassion fatigue and secondary trauma? What can schools do to help teachers?
So I heard on a podcast recently that you should never explain a problem without coming with a solution as well. And I love that because I know that when I came to my principal the last year I was teaching, explaining to her how overwhelmed I felt, she definitely showed compassion. She was like, I don't want you to burn out the first year we have you. And she definitely wanted to help, but she didn't necessarily know what I needed. And I didn't come to her with any solutions. So I left that meeting completely unsatisfied, feeling frustrated that nothing was going to be changed. So I want to say that if you are feeling burned out, you definitely need to go to your support system and explain to them what is happening. But and go with maybe one or two ideas of what could happen to change that. Maybe you just need um support. Maybe you need like an additional adult in there at a certain time. I know there was a 30-minute window where I was the only adult in the classroom. And during that 30-minute window, that was the hardest part for me. So if I could have just said, is there a parent volunteering in a different classroom who could pop into my room? They don't have to stay the whole time, but just come in. But at that point, I was so overwhelmed that I couldn't think of anything. I was just like, help me. So, as an administrator, then if they see that you're having problems, I think what they can do is come in and observe during your most unhappy part of your day and see what they could do to help. Maybe it's simple suggestions to something that you could fix or something that they could do to help you. But definitely talking to your support system is number one. Now, I think that a lot of teachers don't want to admit when they have a problem inside their classroom to their administrators. And sometimes that's the school's climate issue. And if you're really feeling like if you admit that you need help, that you're jeopardizing your job, then maybe that's not the right school for you. Because I know that I felt supported in both schools that I worked with. I definitely felt like there wasn't enough support in my second school, but it wasn't anything to do with the people there. It was just the limited resources we had. And they wanted to support me in any way that they could. So if you're not working in a supportive school, your burnout level is going to increase and there's going to be little that you can personally do to stop that. So getting yourself out of that environment might be the best step. And if that's not an option, then creating a committee that is focusing on the culture of your school, thinking of ways that you can encourage positive cultural changes inside the school. Maybe starting a book club to get to know the teachers around you so that way you know which ones you can go to when you need support. Maybe it's not the principal who's going to help you, maybe it's your co teacher, maybe it's just a different, maybe like I even had help from the janitor guys. Like you can find people there who want to help. It's just getting to know the people around you. So that's one step to becoming more resilient, finding the people, finding the resources. Another step is making self care a priority. I kind of touched on this a little bit, but I want to be very specific in the techniques that could help you. Um, like during your lunch break, I don't know how you feel personally about what's best for you, but some ideas include a little bit of physical activity, getting up and going for a walk outside, getting some sunshine in. I am living on the Pacific side of things where it's very cloudy. And I was not getting enough sunshine. And that's actually a big factor. I've read in studies that just going outside can really help. Physical activity can help. If you're spiritual in any way, connecting with that, like saying a little prayer or sending out some good vibes, whatever it is that your personal beliefs are. And if you don't have that, then finding something that gives you positive energy. It doesn't have to be spiritual or religious related. It could be reading for 10 minutes a book that you find joy with. Just give yourself a little break during the school day. Now, obviously, that's not going to fix everything, but giving yourself those little spurts of endorphins throughout the day can be a lifesaver. Keep some healthy little snacks around. I know that I kept like trail mix that had a lot of chocolate in it, so that way it's good for me, but it also has that chocolate. Hey, that's really good for your mindset as well. Yoga, meditation, just self care. Um, and I think that some schools are starting to actually take this on, like pushing for teachers to take care of themselves more. And I love that. So if it's coming top down, that's even better. But if it's not, you need to take responsibility for yourself. My therapist always says no one's going to advocate for you harder than yourself. So if they see that you're not advocating for yourself, then why should they? So you need to make yourself a priority and do what you need to do to take care of yourself. Now, I want to take on the perspective from like a lot of teachers don't see the correlation between self care and the prevention of burnout, the prevention of secondary trauma effects and compassion fatigue. Um, I was reading a study about pre service teachers who are experiencing burnout already their junior and senior year from their internships and practicums with their student teaching. And they expressed frustration in this study that they were not seen as a priority in their own um, like education. The classes they were taking were not teaching them self-care strategies effectively. They were not addressing the personal burnout that they were feeling. And a lot of them felt either hopeful that when they got into the field, it wouldn't be as stressful because they wouldn't have school assignments to turn in. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I know that I definitely was responsible for a lot less as a student teacher compared to being a teacher. It was a different kind of stress, but I wouldn't say that becoming a teacher compared to a student teacher was less stressful. So I hope that they were not disappointed by that. The fact is that our educational programs that teach our teachers need to make self care a priority. I think honestly, it should be a class in and of itself for any profession because teachers are not the only ones who are overwhelmed with the expectations that they are given. It's teachers, it's doctors, it's nurses, it's any helping field, really, and probably all fields need this. But since my podcast is focusing on education more so, I tend to focus on that as well. But like, if you're a parent volunteering inside the classroom, you're going to start probably feeling some compassion fatigue because you're going to start seeing what's happening to the peers of your child, and it's going to be disheartening to see that children are not being treated the way that they should. I think that education systems should take on more responsibility. Pre service and in service teachers should be given resources to learn the connection between self care and resiliency.